Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Light on Education. Today's guest is Phyllis Carmeletti. I am Tony Saunders, the Educational Consultant and Executive Director of the Associated Advocacy Center, who is our sponsor for today's show. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that this show will be very enlightening for you. Today we have Phyllis Carmeletti. Again, she is a parent of 2 children with special needs. And she's going to talk to us about how her life has been, what challenges she has had, and what she has found out that she's going to teach us today. And thank you so much for being here today, Phyllis.
Thanks for having me, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. So what I'd like to start off with is, can you just give us an overview of what it's like to be the parent of 2 children with special needs, and what challenges you've had along the way?
I don't know where to start, Tony, but I guess I'd just start at the beginning. For me, because I work for Department of Developmental Services, so I work with special needs at my job and I have it at home. It's a totally different scenario each day. I don't know that I'd have my life any other way than it is now, although it is very challenging.
What have been some of the challenges that you've had to go through? Let's start off with your daughter. She's the youngest of the 2, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When you first found out that she too was going to have special needs, what did that do to you, and how did it make you feel?
Well, when she was about 6 months old, I started noticing, just she wasn't developing as she should. So immediately I contacted my doctor, and we got her right into the early development program by 1, and then by 3 she was in with the public schools.
Mm-hmm. Was your son in early intervention as well?
My son was not. I wasn't aware of it. He entered the public schools when he was 4, and that was a fight to get that done. So I actually learned a lot from my middle child.
So what you're saying is that you, from having the experience of having a child with special needs first, when you found out your second child had special needs, it was easier for you to get through the system?
I was better prepared. I had an advocate, right by my side, and I was just strong and determined that I was going to do everything to help her, and the district knew it, and I was not going to take no for an answer.
Mm-hmm. And so how did you seek out help, support? What types of agencies, and I'm talking about in the beginning, what types of agencies did you look at? How did you get behavioral supports in your home? Things like that.
Well, my daughter was, I knew something was going on with my daughter when she was in about 4th grade. And
you mean behaviorally?
Behaviorally.
Mm-hmm.
She had been diagnosed with PDD NOS, which is a form of autism.
It's called pervasive developmental
disorder,
mm-hmm.
and non-specified. And the school would not actually take that diagnosis because there was not correct documentation with it. I don't understand that. I still don't, but she was acting out and in school and swearing and running down the hallways, and we, attempted to get her out of district, and the school said they had to do a 45-day eval on her. It got so terribly bad that she was acting out at home. She got sent home from school, so she ended up in a psychiatric hospital.
Oh, and what did that do to your family?
actually, one would think it'd rip you apart, but it strengthened us. We had to pull together and get through it. And what I did with love for my daughter, and it was very difficult having her hit me and but we got through it, and we sent her back to the school, and the school said, no, we still have to finish our 45-day eval.
So in their 45-day evaluation, did they provide in-home supports for you?
I had an in-home person in my home for 4 hours a week.
Okay,
Yes.
and that was from the school district?
From the school district.
So what I'm getting out is that it's possible to get a school district to provide in-home behavioral services for a child with special needs. Is that correct?
Yes. They had to come out and do an evaluation, and they deemed that we did need it. And I had also got it from my other son as well.
Okay.
So I did have the supports, and I reached out, found out that my insurance does pay for behavioral support services.
And you have a private insurance?
I have private insurance, and then it has, they had to have a co-payment. And so I found out I was eligible to have Mass Health because my children have disabilities, and they paid for the co-payments. But insurance in Massachusetts, if your child has a diagnosis of autism, they are eligible to have behavioral supports in their home, and don't let them tell you otherwise.
Wonderful.
Because you can get it.
One of the things that I've noticed is that parents will ask for support, and more often than not, they're denied in the very beginning, especially if the school is not seeing any behavioral challenges inside of the school. Did that ever happen to you?
They did see.
Oh, they saw
behaviors. They did see behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
And after my daughter was hospitalized again, and yet they still said we still need to finish the 45-day evaluation for her to be out of district. They put her in a substantially separate classroom with only 3 or 4 children. She did worse. She went down to first grade level. She couldn't even add 1 + 1. She hated it. She was just outbursting, swearing, hitting. And then after the 3rd hospitalization, she came back, and we still tried to get her out of district. And she had said to one of the teachers, I want to kill myself, and I'm going to bash my head through the window. And they sent her off to speech.
Oh my goodness.
So
they didn't take her suicide
no.
discussion at heart. They didn't
No.
do anything about it? Did they let you know
They
about
called me
it?
about an hour and a half later. I kept her out of school for 10 days with crisis monitoring her every day. I finally said I can't take any more. Took her back to Children's Hospital, where I had many starting points from there,
Yeah.
getting her eval there and sent her off. And then we sent her to a wonderful hospital in Boston, Franciscan Children's Hospital. And they fought she went to Westwood first. Then, because she wasn't ready to be discharged home, she went to Franciscan.
Okay.
And they fought for her. And we got an ICC, Intensive Coordinated Care Team. And we had the behavioral piece in place. And she has been not hospitalized since, last hospitalization was in May of last year. So it's almost
a
year.
year. Wonderful.
It's been difficult. We've had her home. She, is doing better. We now have her at a great collaborative.
Wonderful.
And she loves it. She's doing 5th grade work.
Wonderful. That's even better.
She loves school, loves
Wonderful. So now you have a son who is graduating this year. I know you went through some challenges educating him. Can you tell us just a little bit about the challenges you had with him and where you are now?
Well, let's see. Aaron's about to be graduating, and at the age of 14, we started his transition planning. We had
Ah,
a very,
I do want to, excuse me for just a second. Transition planning, for those who don't know, is a law by IDEA, a federal law, that says that whenever a child turns 14 and is on an IEP, that it's time to start looking at what supports they're going to need to be able to become an adult. And you convene a team, you talk about, with the student, you talk about what it is that makes them happy, what types of things do they like to do. And with their help, you chart a course for them getting to the, their diploma or their, if they stay until they're 22 years old, what is it they're going to do? What do they need? Supported employment? Are they going to college? Vocational training? Whatever it is that a child needs. And the team is supposed to chart that course and provide them with the correct services and the correct academics to get them to their goal. So please talk to us about Aaron's transition.
I don't know actually where to start because my son Aaron is graduating, and I've had no help as far as with the guidance department. I had called the guidance and said, I'd like to set up a meeting. I wanted to find out about colleges. Then it turned into, well, we need this person to come to the meeting, and then they turned it into a big meeting, whereas I just wanted the guidance department to say, these are the colleges that you're supposed to be looking at, college A, B, C, and D.
What was the criteria for the college A, B, C, and D in your mind? In other words, what is it specifically you were looking for out of a college for your son?
Well, I was looking for a college that has, an intensive special needs, special program that would help Aaron succeed. And not all schools are equipped for Asperger's, ADHD children, although they have to, by law, provide some services. Mm-hmm. It's very little as far as, increased test time. They could provide a note taker, extra office hours. But Aaron needed a lot more mm-hmm. than that. He's going to need a special equipment in his computer, like Kurzweil, which is like text-to-speech software. He would need a note taker. He would need, there's a special pen that's out, I don't know the name of it, that records the class. Mm-hmm. And that's covered free from Easter Seals. You can borrow that, just call it Easter Seals Technology Department. So I needed a school that just specialized, that helped kids learn differently, and they are out there, right, and there's a few good ones. But I had to really search because no one helped me. I had to go to colleges and just ask questions.
I'd like to say that the law, the 504 law, which is also a federal law under the Americans with Disabilities Act, I just want to let you know that under that act, when a child with disabilities goes to college, that it turns into what's called a 504 plan. And that 504 plan is used to create accommodations for the student to be able to be successful in their college career. So the 504 plan obviously hasn't been written for Aaron, but can you tell us a little bit about the assistive technology, for example, which would be an accommodation that he does need? And did you get it for him in school now? Is he using it?
Aaron does have it. It was a fight to get it because they didn't know how to use it.
Who didn't know how to use it?
The school district. They all had to be trained on
So they had the software but didn't know how to use it?
They didn't know how to use it, and I kept on, insisting that if they put it there, that they had to. Mm-hmm. They had to do it, and we had to have a mediation. We had to go with the school board and make them use it.
So you had to push them to do what it sounds like they wrote on the
Yes.
IEP. Is that correct?
Yes.
So how long before they wrote it and they gave it to him?
if I remember correctly, because I know you were helping me get what Aaron needed, I was about, I think, a year or more to get that.
So even though they
incorporated.
wrote it, they didn't give it to him.
No.
And then finally they did give it to him. Did it help as the team had thought?
It did help him. He's going to need it, for a long time. It did help him. It was just a matter of me getting educated myself and finding out what questions to ask my son so that I knew whether or not they were using it in school. So I had to, and not only for the Kurzweil, for speech, OT, extra time on tests, anything that was supposed to be on there. Mine says I'm supposed to be emailed once a week with what Aaron's done. I haven't seen any, and I've called him on it every single time. I let it go. Should have I? Probably not. It was insignificant, but whatever's on that IEP needs to be fulfilled.
Right. The audience needs to know that when a child has been identified as a child with special needs, whatever those needs are, for whatever reason, that means that they've been diagnosed with a disability and they need the support of specially designed instruction, accommodations, modifications, whatever it is that the team determines the child needs based on evaluations and observations of the student in and sometimes out of school. And so, that is a contract between the district and the parent. And if by chance that, the contract is broken, the student is not actually getting what they're supposed to get. And that's the sad part, because it takes a long time just to identify what it is. And then once you figure out what it is and you figure out what they need, then you have to fight to get it. And that's the part of the system that we want to break. We want to break that part of the system because students that need something should be getting what they need. So what I'd like to talk about right now is, I want to fast forward a little bit. Aaron is graduating in just a few months.
Yes.
You went to the guidance counselor, you asked them for their help with getting him transitioned into a college, determining what colleges, for example, he should go and visit and apply to. Now, Aaron, I'm assuming, is graduating with a diploma this year.
Yes, Aaron's graduating with
Wonderful.
a diploma.
So he did pass MCAS. That is an incredible feat for him. And so can you tell us now what types of colleges you went to, what you found out from the systems that put together transition needs for children? What did you find out?
The colleges that I went to it varied from the junior colleges around here and to some colleges that are especially known for children with LD in-state and out-of-state. And I found that some of them, I found the one thing was if you ask a personnel at the college about their accommodations for the special needs, if they can't answer you like that, then it's not a college for your child. Mm-hmm. They should know that. They should know exactly what
accommodations that they have to provide.
To offer.
Mm-hmm.
If you hand them the IEP and they can't accommodate your child, then I would think twice because you know your child, you know what he's capable of or she's capable of, and they need to be set up to succeed.
Right.
And there are some good ones out there.
There are some good ones
And
out
Mass
there.
Rehab does help with some out-of-state colleges, and some colleges you can actually write off on your taxes for medical.
Really?
Yes, I found that out. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now that's interesting.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, you could.
can you explain that just a little bit?
So when you file your taxes, you take your medical expenses, and I'm not an accountant by any way, but I think it's over 8% or something you can write off for medical. So when you write that off, you can write, the diagnosis, and you just hand it to your accountant or your person who does your taxes, and they just write off the tuition there.
Wow.
And because your child has LD, learning disability, and so it reduces the amount that you're going to have to pay back to the government.
So the colleges that you went to, how many did you go to, first of all?
Oh gosh, probably about 6 or 7.
And they were all in Massachusetts?
One was not in Massachusetts.
Okay. And of those colleges, would you say that all of them or most of them provided you with the knowledge that you needed to make an informed decision about?
I would say the one I really didn't was not in Massachusetts. That really, I didn't have to ask any questions. It was all mapped out for us.
Really?
And the school was just for LD. That's all they do is LD. Language,
That's amazing.
just language, yes.
That's amazing.
The whole day was just, I didn't, the questions were all answered before we even asked them.
Ugh. Now that's the perfect college for a child with learning disabilities, absolutely. And so you were talking about mass rehab. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey through mass rehab?
So it's really, you just, I had to find, I thought it would be different, like they would handing me all the answers, and that's not. You really have to ask them and push them for answers.
So is it like you already need to know what to ask, as opposed to, walking in there and just saying, what do you have?
Yeah,
Is it really?
I kind of did that, but you need to just pick and push. Like, I found out, they'll help on the driver's test, but really you can just take your IEP down, your kid's IEP down for your learner's permit or whatever, and they give them extra time. So you don't really need mass rehab for that. But I didn't know that, so I found out that. I know that they said that they will help for in-state tuition and books, and I found out through other schools that they
do
help.
out of state as well.
They do.
Wow.
And other schools, they do help.
One of the things that I find interesting as people maneuver their way through the maze of higher education for a child with special needs is that the information is not readily available.
It's not. It is not. And if you're fortunate enough to get Mass Health, not that I'm happy about it, but my children, my daughter would be indefinitely, she'd be in residential without it. My insurance does not cover hardly anything of her. And so I lost my train of thought. So when I call up Mass Health and say, what do you have? I have to be very specific, and I have gotten so many programs for my daughter and my son. Now I am actually his foster mother now, and they come out and they make sure that he has all his meds, the house is up to code, he has everything he needs. They help him with the Social Security. It actually increased his Social Security benefits. They got me the ride for him.
So you're saying that as your son, is your son 18?
Yes.
Okay. So when he turned 18, you were able to become not his guardian, but his
foster
he's
in adult foster care, yes. And they give you a monthly stipend for that. And
is this through DCF?
No, it's not. It's through, I called Mass Health. There are several agencies. The one I went through is Pride of Taunton. But they just helped me, help him. Like I said, they have a nurse come out, weigh him, check his meds. Anytime I go to the doctors have to, sign a form saying what they're doing. They keep contact, of everything, every aspect of what, he needs. I had to have certain things in my house, a fire extinguisher, working, smoke
Sort
detector.
of like an inspection would happen, like if you were opening a daycare center, for example.
Yes, and he has a social worker. She's going to be helping me with different things. But, it's hard to find these. You just have to I just called myself and picked a person's brain. And then I just made phone calls after phone calls after phone calls. I mean, it's a lot of phone calls. Like, why aren't people getting this out there? I mean, this is a well-deserved and needed service. And now my son's going to get a mentor because of Pride. My daughter has a PCA.
Personal care
attendant, because she can't wash her hair. And because of her behavior is so, I don't know the word for it, bad. I don't want to say bad, but it's off the hook. You know, it takes an hour to get her washed. So I've gotten a personal care attendant to lighten my load and come out and be with her and be around her. And through another service, I've gotten mentor, and we had a therapist in the home. And
you know, Phyllis, this has been quite enlightening, and I might even call you and ask you to be on again to give us an update about the transitioning of your son, because this is really an important issue in today's society, because for those students whose parents do not know and have not done the research or even know to do research, they expect that the system is going to just do its job. And you know, more often than not, that doesn't happen without a parent pushing for them to do what they're supposed to do. And it's very difficult for parents to even know where to go, who to navigate to. What I'd like to offer is, if anyone is interested in more information about transitioning, specifically transition planning or anything like that has to do with their child with special needs who's 14 or over and before they're 22 years old, please give us a call. We're at 508-420-4356. This is the Associated Advocacy Center Visions for the Future Incorporated. And thank you so much, Phyllis, for being on today. This has just, as I said, been so enlightening. And if you'd like to say one last thing, please.
I would. If your child is going to graduate from high school and still not have a plan, make sure that you get yourself educated, get an advocate, and do not let them take their diploma until you feel that they are ready to succeed in life. It's very important.
One last question just before we go. Is it that you have decided to become an advocate as well because of your journey through this maze?
Yes, I have. We've talked about that over the years, and I've done a few cases with you. Yes, it's because I find that parents need to have the knowledge and empowering somebody to tell them what to do. And I had you tell me what to do, and I did it, and I just went and kept on doing it.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So here we are.
Thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank you for watching The Light on Education.